Practice 3 for Ohio State in the books. I'm Spencer Holbrook. That's Andy Backstrom. That's the 41-year vet Tim May. We were all here on a Saturday. No interviews post-practice, but we've got a lot to take away. Will Howard, running back extraordinaire, 80-yard touchdown run. Devin Brown, deep ball extraordinaire. Long pass to Emeka Egbuka, almost like a haymaker thrown back after Will Howard did that. And then this running game is starting to hum a little bit. I know they're not hitting, but you're seeing a lot of differences in the run game. Andy, I'll go to you first. What did you take away from Saturday? It's kind of packed in here.
Yeah, shoulder pads on, a little bit of action. With training camp, I feel like Will Howard has his best day today. Yeah. I think that he's starting to stand out a little bit more now that we're seeing a little bit of increase in contact. Still not a lot of football as you know it being played, but I think he's getting more and more comfortable with this offense. No incompletions for him in the final team period. Mm-hmm. We saw a lot of Will Howard and Julian Sayin with the ones, at least the one offensive line group. Yeah. In that final team period, so that was noteworthy. Devin Brown, as you said, deep ball has been impressive the last couple of days. Actually, 2 deep connections with Emeka Egbuka. Mm-hmm. Both times Jermaine Matthews was in coverage. Just not a lot you can do about it. Devin Brown put it in the right spot at the right time. So those quarterback notes have been, really intriguing so far. Lincoln Keenholz is still in the mix as far as, working with the second and third team. We see a little bit of Aaron Nolan, but not as much toward the end of practice. The offensive line stuff, I think that stands out with Carson Hinsman being back again, second day back at practice, still in that mix for right guard. So I think that competition is still going.
Tim, what'd you learn?
I learned a lot of things. Number one of which is, no, you're good.
No, you're good.
It's hilarious. No, we like that. We like that kind of stuff. Yeah. Where was it before I almost got run over? There are a lot of things. Number one is, yes, Will Howard can run the ball.
Yeah.
And wants to finish every run he starts, which is, for a quarterback, that's kind of a big step if you follow the draft. Number two, Denzel Burke's a competitive guy because when he got beat a couple of times, he still kept coming out there. I mean, this is a pride situation, especially when you're still not playing real football yet, because I think both the offensive line and defensive line are looking forward to, real football in a couple of days because that's when they're going to decide their fates one way or the other. But then on top of that, like you said, James Peoples keeps catching my eye. I mean, the other two guys, the top two guys.
Of course.
Travion Henderson and Quinshon Judkins. But Coach Laurinaitis even, he just gave me a hit because he's itching to hit. But the bottom line is James Peoples, he's coming along like they need him to do. Yeah. Sam Williams-Dixon the same way. But James Peoples in particular always keeps catching my eye. And then defensively, I know we talked about offense and defense a little bit there, but I just like the way the defensive front is competing right now, even though they're not playing. But when they were going one-on-ones with the offensive line in one session, I sat there transfixed watching it, and Jim Lachey was standing there with me and a couple other guys, and he didn't know. He was basically giving us analysis of offensive line moves, counter moves by the defense and stuff, and it was really cool to be there, but just to see the quick twitch that's going on among these big guys. Yeah. I mean, it's real.
I really, really like where this offensive line is right now. They're just moving people on the defensive side. I know that they're not fully hitting yet, but there was quite a few questionable thuds, I would say, especially in the offensive line. Josh Fryer just doing a fantastic job.
Yeah, he just does it.
Grading the road for these running backs. I really like, though, where this offensive line is, in all seriousness. They are moving people. The holes are bigger. It looks more diverse in the run game. Each of the running backs had their moments where they're running. Jermaine Matthews getting after people, in the secondary. So I think they're in a really good spot right now. And whether it's Carson Hinsman or Luke Montgomery or Tegra Shabola or Seth McLaughlin, whoever you want to put there at guard, I'm feeling pretty confident about right now because I'm seeing some pretty good developments on that offensive line, Andy.
Yeah, I think that, like you said, the holes were big today for the running backs, making the running backs look good. I think all the running backs have been impressive so far. As you said, Tim, the freshmen don't really look like freshmen at times. James Peoples, but also Sam Williams-Dixon, I think has been really just fun to watch so far. Quick, they both run low to the ground.
But he keeps showing up.
Yeah, and even Rashid Cisse is a new guy kind of in the mix as that fifth.
And then there's Seth McLaughlin, don't forget him.
But yes, offensive line has been impressive so far. And how many times have we come out, whether it's spring ball or training camp, and we see the offensive line get beat up a little bit by the defensive line, at the beginning at least, and the defense being ahead of the offense. I feel like this time the offensive line has brought it from the jump so far in training camp, and that's been a pleasant sight to see if you're an Ohio State fan because, this is going to be critical for this year for the offensive line right away.
I think it was funny because Seth McLaughlin just walked behind us, and you just think about what's different about this group compared to last year? Well, number one, you got this guy who started for Alabama for 2 years on your offensive line now, and I think he's asserting more and more leadership role when I watch him between plays and those kind of things. And then you got Josh Fryer entrenched at right tackle, where any kind of talk about that was going on, I was just like paying deaf attention to it about him moving to some other spot because he fits really well in that realm. I think at right guard, we've talked about it forever. I've been talking about right guard since last February about what are they going to do about it. Actually, since last January. I think they're in fine shape right there because I think Tegra, if you watch Tegra Chabot, he's definitely stepped up.
Yes.
And then Carson Hintzman, they're going to figure out a place to get him playing time because you're not going to throw away a whole year of him being your starting center in one form or fashion. So I think it's better than you think.
Yeah, again, like just generally, if you just want to be very general, it's in a good spot. Like I like Austin Saravelt did today on the second team. I like Luke Montgomery moving people when he's playing center. A couple snaps there, but I think he's a little newer to the position, and like it looks pretty good. So like the depth is in a good spot too right now. I liked what I saw from George Fitzpatrick with the second team. And then there's Will Howard, who I think if I was giving like a thumbs up for the day to one guy, I think I would give it to Will Howard. Really, really sharp in the full 11-on-11 team stuff. Also had the 80-yard touchdown run. That's not to disparage any of the other guys that did this. I thought it was
Waxahachie. Go ahead.
It was a decent day for all the quarterbacks, in my opinion. The only two to throw interceptions were the two freshmen. I mean, that's okay.
Yeah.
But I thought Will took a solid step today in his development, in his assertion of this offense. Like I think it's all starting to click for him, Andy, and I think you're seeing that on the field little by little.
Yeah, progression, I think.
Yeah.
Don't forget Caden Curry when you're talking about the defensive end.
Yeah, progression every day. I think for Will Howard so far is gradual progress. It's what you want to see. I think problem last offseason's quarterback competition, it was start-stop, a good day and then a bad day. I think you want to see, even if it's slow, gradual, you still want to see the steady progression. I think that's what we're seeing.
Yeah, it's
right now.
Benosin, how good he's looking.
Tim, we're going to shout out all these guys on here.
I like him though, man.
Yeah, he had a couple good plays. I will say a couple pass breakups. We should have said that when he walked by, but yeah, like you said, Andy, like it felt like last year the quarterbacks would both revert back to the mean each day. One of them would be really good, but the other one wouldn't be, and then you're trying to find a level there. And instead, I think it's like slowly but surely, one step of the staircase at a time.
Yeah.
Will Howard is climbing. He looks a little better in the pocket. And the next day, he's finding his footing in the run game. And the next day, he's barking out orders to guys to get the offense under control. Like, you're just seeing the things you want to see from a starter. And we didn't watch a ton of training camp last year, but if you gave Ryan Day a little bit of truth serum, I think he would say and agree with us that they're in a little bit better spot right now than they were at this time last year.
Yeah. The other thing I observed today, pardon the expression, but I think is going to be big, is Will Howard being Devin Brown being able, there you go, man, being able to step into a huddle, call a play, go to the line of scrimmage underneath center, almost classic.
Yeah, it's
throwback. It's funny how you talk about throwbacks, getting in huddling, because they do it all the time in the NFL. My point is, they're going to be very deliberate, it looks like to me. We'll see as this goes with their offense.
Yeah.
Meaning, let's call a good play. Meaning, everybody's on the same thing. Of course, they're going to jump into the pistol or the shotgun occasionally. Of course, they're going to do hurry up. But the huddle I think that's any quarterback loves that element of being able to step into a huddle and just quickly review. Hey, I'm not going to call a name out, but hey, ding dong, I need 3 seconds here, brother. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then call a play and stuff. It's going to be kind of a little bit of a different a twist on things because, as we know, I mean, Ryan Day was big on running as many plays as possible at one point. Urban Meyer, when he first came back to football, was big on running that because of Chip Kelly.
Yeah.
But now Chip Kelly wants to make sure the team gets in the right play, and then there you go, man.
That's right.
And then when you get somebody on the run, then you go giddy up or something and get after it. I mean, you're seeing all those elements right now being practiced when they coalesce here in a couple of weeks. That's what's going to be really fun to watch if we get to watch it.
Yeah, it's interesting because we're talking all offense here, but it's not like the defense had a bad day. We're not.
We can talk defense.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to transition over to defense because I'm here to tell you guys right now. If you see any lists, all Big Ten preseason stuff, X website does a preseason all Big Ten. If it doesn't have Jordan Hancock on it, click away. That guy just looks different. And I think he's even elevated from where he was last year. Like multiple pass breakups today. He's talking more trash. He looks more comfortable. He looks like he's ready to just absolutely be on a tear this year. A little bit clouded last year because Mike Sandersville at Michigan was so good. And so like first team all Big Ten, nickel or whatever you want to call it, just went to him. Like Jordan Hancock is playing on another level and it's only been 3 practices. I am extremely excited to see where this goes because he looks real and he looks really good.
Yeah, he broke up a pass that led to a Caleb Downs diving tip drill interception. There was also another tip drill interception with Arvell Reese. Reeling that one in. Miles Lockhart had the pass break up there. So what did Jim Knowles talk about yesterday? It was aggression. It was, more pressures. I saw, after the defensive line, Jack Sawyer had to hole up at one point. He was fully in on the quarterback. Caden Curry was in at one point. Even the defensive tackles, I saw Eric Mensah getting in there. A lot of pressure at times for the defensive line, even though they're kind of handicapped right now with the restrictions with contact. But then, the takeaways, as he said, the 2 interceptions, tip drill stuff, that's an emphasis right now, as Jim Knowles said, to get more takeaways, to be top 5 in all those categories.
Oh my gosh, look at this. Look at this guy.
But yeah, so the defense is hitting on those key points, and they're also winning some battles here and there. And right now, it's favoring, I think, the offense in these kinds of drills and 7-on-7 and all that stuff. But they're still finding ways to make plays.
Yeah, I think that the reason that we gush about this offense so much is because we're just not worried about the defense. Like, I know what this defensive line is going to be. Depth, we need to find it. Linebacker depth, we need to find it. But I like what I saw from Gabe Powers again today. Seems to be in position when they're running the ball. They're just thudding. So, like, sometimes the running back squirts through. He makes a headline in the notebook. But then at the same time, like, it's not really one of those things where – what's up, man? No, you're fine. It's not one of those – It's not one of those things where, like, I'm worried about this defense because the running backs are getting through holes. Like, Gabe Powers is always in position. Sonny Styles seems to always be in position. I really like, again, Cody Simon. CJ Hicks is coming along. Like, the defense I don't have worries about, which is why I focus so much on the offense during these periods, Tim. Like, we need to see more from the offense because we already know what the defense is.
Yeah. I mean, we talked to Jim Knowles yesterday. I remember asking him the question about, it's almost like he's teaching a graduate level or mature level course to most of these guys because they've been around for a while. Just a while ago when y'all were talking about Jordan Hancock, there were big expectations for Jordan Hancock a couple years ago, and then he gets banged up in preseason, and you don't see him for a while. 3/4 of the season? Now these guys are all mature. A lot of these guys we're talking about are mature, long-term journeyman guys here, along with being excellent at what they do on top of that. And I think that's what you're going to see most from this defense as it goes along. Like, I'm very curious, like I said, to see what happens when they put the pads on.
Yeah.
And because that's when you're going to see whether this defensive front is going to be as dominant as we think it is. But then is that going to hurt the offense's feelings? Because you're going to get maybe the best defense in the country, arguably one of the top 3. I think you would agree, right?
Yeah.
And so it's not going to be smooth sailing for you. Even the backups on this defense are pretty damn good, and a lot of the backups have been here for a while. So this is I keep saying, this is one of those teams, one of those moments in time where a lot of things have come together, and you're seeing it from an expert play situation by the defense.
Andy, what do we make of, and we talked about it a little bit at the top of the show, we're going to end with it too. What do we make of Will Howard and Julian saying getting the reps to the first team offensive line? Is that just a matter of splitting reps? Like, we're a little bit in the opinion business as well as covering this team, but like, what do you make of it? Because like, I think it's starting to show like they trust Julian, not maybe as much as they do with Will and Devin because those guys are veterans, but like they want to see what Julian looks like behind a better offensive line. Like I think that's kind of becoming apparent that they want to see this.
I don't think it's a coincidence that after the day that Julian had yesterday, which I thought was very impressive, I think one of the most impressive showings we've seen from him so far, it's not a coincidence that he had those opportunities today. Yeah. Was he as good today as he was yesterday? I don't think so. He still had great moments. But he's getting these opportunities, and I think he's someone to consider for even the backup role. I mean, or maybe someday if they need him to come in to play. Yeah. I mean, like I think it's just one of those things where he has been that good so far, even from the start of spring, where he's done enough processing-wise, the way he throws the football, the decision-making, even the interception he threw today, I didn't think that was really on him. It was good defense more than anything.
Hancock,
Jordan Hancock getting in there.
He still took a lap, though.
He still took a lap, that's right. But I think that shows, like you said, a growing trust. But they've already had trust in him. Even in spring ball they did. So
guys, and I'm paying attention to what the coaches say, too. Brian Days said this in the spring, said it earlier this summer. you got to get 3 guys ready to play at quarterback minimum, because 2 of them haven't played, meaning Devin Brown or Julian Sayin or Aaron Nolan. Two of your top 3 will not have played, will have had 1 start between them. Number 2, I don't read a lot into like necessarily the number of snaps you got today compared to yesterday with this group or that group, because the cutting time is going to come in about 3 or 4 days when they really start paring it down a little bit. I still do believe Devin Brown is in the running for the starting job. I do believe Will Howard is the guy you're chasing in that regard, but Devin Brown is, in my opinion, having a damn good camp. I really like the way Julian Sayin throws the football.
It's different.
And he moves, I think, better maybe pocket-wise, moving out of the pocket, running a little bit, than maybe a lot of people thought he would also. So I'm not discounting him. I think we're going to see all 3 of these guys play, just like Ryan Day has been saying. In those first 3 games, I think we'll see all 3 of these guys play, and then there might be a shuffle. Who knows? When you get into the Big Ten, Michigan State, Iowa, and then the trip to Oregon, that's when everything really has to be battened down. Maybe probably for the Iowa game, but it behooves you to put him in with the first team and see how things go.
Yeah, because the worst
He's
you can
a talent.
The worst that can happen is still happening in practice, so it's okay.
Yeah.
Not that you want mistakes in practice, but it's the time to do it for sure. I think there is separation with some tiers here with quarterback. I think there is a tier 1, and it is Will Howard, Devin Brown, and Julian Sayin. That's just where this is heading right now.
Yeah.
And then I think, I'll like it right now. I'll liken it right now to what I'm watching, the Olympic swimming, where they put the meters per second on there.
Yeah.
I think right now Will Howard is swimming at like that 1.68 or whatever, and the other guys are at like 1.7. It's barely faster, but over time, it shows up in the lead at the end of the race.
Mm-hmm. But no, but they get the faster people are in the middle of the pack too, not on the edges.
I think that's what you're seeing from Will, though, is the fact that you're getting like just a little bit better each day, but in the end, it's going to equal him winning that job. And I think that's where we stand right now, because the run game looks really good. The receivers we know are good. They just got to name a quarterback. They got to figure that thing out, Andy, before we get out of here.
Well, just more contact. The more we'll see, the more we'll learn. And I think that's kind of the bottom line. I think we learned a lot more today with some pads on.
A lot today.
Than we did the last couple of days, and I think that's just the way it's going to go going forward.
Yeah. Tim, you got anything else before we get out of here?
I think we need a different camera spot next time. Although I kind of like this.
Yeah, it's kind of fun.
I want to let people know Hero Canoe just went behind us and was probably the most real guy who went behind us of all. Made sure he put the horns up,
There you go.
etc. I'm just looking forward to watching. I think we get to watch one more practice, don't we?
Tomorrow.
Yeah. It's not real football yet. I keep saying that to myself. There is some great skill, talent on this team in depth. Anybody can see that. That's not gushing.
Yeah.
Anybody who walks out here and watches this practice, and I consider myself to know a little bit about football. The people who know a lot about football say the same thing. The real take on this team is going to be, does that offensive line become that dominant group that Ryan Day wants it to become, that Chip Kelly wants it to become? And that will be found out in like the next 2 weeks when they finally put on pads and start shoving people around or getting shoved around. That's the practices you'd really get to watch, but of course we probably won't, except for one.
The offensive line took a big step forward today, in my opinion. We'll see if that continues on Sunday, or we'll see if it falls back to the mean on Sunday. Bottom line is we'll be here on Sunday. Lettermen Row will be here to watch the 4th Ohio State training camp practice, then they're going to shut us out for a while. And admittedly, that's okay. We've seen a lot the last few days.
Yeah.
Tim May, the 41-year vet, Andy Backstrom,
Denzel Burke,
Spencer Holbrook. Denzel Burke's got to get in the shot a little bit. We're just having some fun here as the players pass by after a fun but gloomy practice outside of the Woody Hayes Athletic Center. Again, we'll be back in here on Sunday for full coverage of whatever the Buckeyes decide to show us. Tim, Andy, Spencer, see you guys over at lettermenrow.com. We're getting ready to write about this entire practice, empty the notebook, and break it down for you, the members, and the YouTube subscribers. If you're not a member, go become a member at lettermenrow.com.